Now that we have our file and composition set up, let's go ahead and import our artwork. To import the artwork, we can go to the project panel on the left-hand side here, and then we can right-click, import, file. Let's navigate to our storyboard. This is the storyboard that we designed for the class. And the bottom here, let's go to composition retain layer sizes. So this is going to keep the layer within the Illustrator file the same size as it was made in Illustrator. And make sure you don't check on this Illustrator or PDF EPS sequence, because if you check on this one, it's going to give you a lot of problem later on. Make sure this one is checked off, nothing is checked on. We already have the composition, so you don't have to create a new composition right now. Just make sure we click on this composition retain layer sizes and then click open. Now you can see within the project panel, we have our STB storyboard composition, and then we have a folder that says storyboard layers. Within the folder, we got all these different layers that we have in Illustrator. They're all broken up as in Illustrator, so we can animate those individually. That's how you import the file. Another way you can import it is to double click on the project panel. Just double click on here, the empty space, and then it's going to bring up the window, and you can do the same thing. Go to storyboard and then go to composition retain layer sizes. Make sure you don't click on this one and then click on open. Since I already have it open, so I'm going to cancel at this time. After I have the artwork imported, I want to organize this layer a little bit to create some folders within the project panel to help me organize the space here. So let's go to create a new folder here, and let's create a pre-comps folder, which we'll need in the future lesson. And now let's create a outputs. Now let's create a music folder, which will host our music. And then let's create a render comp. So the render comp is going to be our main comp. Let's drop the main comp in the render comp. This is going to be the main working space. And after we finish everything, we're going to render this composition. And the pre-comp is going to be the small pre-comp that we're going to be creating. The pre-comps will host the small pre-comp that we'll be creating when we are organizing our layers in the future lesson. And the last one I want to use is a assets. So for the assets folder, let's just drop the storyboard layers into the assets folder. Now you can see I've got all these different assets within this assets folder. And this storyboard we can drop into the pre-comp. And to expand everything, you can see I have the render comp. This is our main composition where we'll be working on the animation. And then the storyboard, this is a pre-comp. We got music, we haven't imported yet, and then we got assets, which is all these Illustrator files layers. Another way I want to do, I'll put 00 dash underscore. I'll put 00 underscore so that this render comp is always on top. Whatever folder I create this render composition is going to be always on top, and I knew this is going to be the one that I'm working in and that I'll be rendering after I finish animating. That's how we'll organize our project panel. After we have it organized, let's go to the pre-comp. Let's double click on this STB. This is the composition that has all our layers. Let's copy all these, Command A. Select everything, Command C, copy, and then go back to main composition. I'm going to paste everything in here, Command V. And as you can see, this artwork here, if I deselect, it shows up exactly like how we designed in Illustrator, which means all these layers are in the correct order. Let's say if I have the last layer, which is the background, all the way on top. Let's put the last layer. Just drag it on top. You can see the background layer is covering everything underneath it. So this is exactly how the layer order works, same as Photoshop. Whatever layer you have on top is going to cover everything below it. As you can see, the first layer we have is the background, which is the blue layer, solid color. It's covering everything underneath it. If I turn off this eye icon here, I can hide it Once I hide it, you can see everything underneath it is still in the correct order. Let's just check on this eye icon again and then put this layer, drag it all the way down to the bottom to the correct place. Now everything is in order. Right now we're selecting everything with the selection tool, which is the first tool you need is the selection tool. You can select everything within this composition. I just hit Command Z to go back to the last step. If I accidentally change the position of the background, I can hit Command Z, which is undo. It's gonna go back to the last stage of the composition so that I can undo what I did just to go back. So Command Z is a great shortcut. We're gonna use it a million times within the course. Whenever we made something wrong, we can undo, Command Z, go back. So as you can see, once I have the selection tool selected, I can click on these little elements within the scene to select them and then move them around. But you can see once I move them, the screen becomes blurry and it says adaptive resolution on the top right corner over there. In order to turn it off, before we do that, I need to make sure these dots go back to their original place. Just Command Z 2 times so that they go back to the original design. And then in order to turn off the adaptive resolution, let's go to the button over here, fast preview, and then turn off that. Once we have that turned off, when I click on these things and drag them, you don't see the screen become blurry anymore. It's gonna show the final resolution and the quality is always good. If your computer slows down, you can always go here and change the preview resolution to maybe half. If I change it to half, you can see it becomes a little blurry. And then if your computer is even slower, you can change it to quarter. But then if you use quarter, it's a bit hard to see. So for me, I would always try to use the full resolution for the preview whenever possible. If my computer is not giving me a hard time, I'm just keeping it to the full resolution preview. I can click on the layer, and then once I click on the layer in the layers panel, it's going to select the one layer that I clicked on in the layers panel. And let's find this demo reel. If I click on this demo reel layer, you can see this layer. This is the boundary of the layer. If I zoom in and then use spacebar to navigate around. So if I hold down spacebar, I can drag this panel here and move it around, or I can command plus sign, zoom in, and then command minus sign, zoom out. So right now I just want to zoom in on this demo reel, command plus, and then hold down spacebar, drag it down. This is my demo reel. You can see once I click on it, it has a boundary of the layer. So that means the size of this demo reel layer is like this big. You can see the boundary. It's not taking up the whole artboard. And each one of these letters have a smaller boundary. You can see it's just the same size almost as the letter. And then these little circles, the boundary of these little circles is just the same size as the little circle. With the selection tool selected, I can click on it and then drag it to anywhere I want. Drag these to anywhere I want, make a mess, whatever I want. I can always Command Z to go back. Yeah, and that's how we navigate through the layers panel and also the live preview.